record contracts, artist agreements, record contracts, which I'll use the terms probably interchangeably in this discussion, have been under a lot of scrutiny recently, and ever since the basically digital piracy came to the public fore with the Napster case, there's been a lot more public debate and discussion about the equity and fairness of artist contracts and the leverage between artists and record companies. I think sometimes fairly the record companies have been criticized with regard to the terms that are contained in record contracts, and sometimes unfairly. Primary terms of a record contracts are going to be predicated upon a number of albums that a record company wants that artist to guarantee to deliver to that record company. So generally speaking, to start out, a record company will sign an artist, and they will attempt to guarantee, or they will say they guarantee, that they'll put out the first record, with options to keep renewing the contract for up to, in today's music climate, it might be up to 7 options. It could be 6 or 7 options is a pretty good ballpark figure. So in other words, that record company is saying to the artist, when you sign this piece of paper, we have the right to have you record up to 7, 8 albums for us if we so choose. After that first record, if it is indeed released, the record company can decide to renew that record contract, or they can drop the artist. That's going to be a unilateral decision, most likely, which is going to be decided by the record company. There may be some deals, or an artist with a bit more stature, where if their first record or the previous record basically achieved a certain sales plateau, there may be an automatic renewal. That's probably not going to obtain for most artists. So that's the first part, is a record company is going to get the artist to guarantee that they will, if asked, deliver a certain amount of records. The record company will also ask, or imply or state in the contract that the recordings created under that contract are works made for hire, and that the record company is indeed the author in fact, as recognized by the law. It's another provision of it. Record company is also going to state that they're going to give the artist, hopefully, a sizable advance, and depending on whether or not it's an independent label, a major independent label, or a major label, an advance could range from anywhere from a few $1,000s to hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars. That's another thing they will guarantee. And they'll also guarantee a royalty rate, which will hopefully, throughout the course of the contract, for each album 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, hopefully at some point that artist royalty will keep increasing. It may also increase with a certain sales plateau. If an artist's record sells X 100,000 units, hopefully the artist royalty will be commensurate with the increase in sales. In the United States, artist royalties for a record are based on a percentage of the suggested retail list price. For the purposes of this discussion, it's a bit too complicated to get into all of the various aspects of it. But they'll get a percentage of some of the $18.98 sticker price, or a percentage of some of the $9.98 or $14.98 sticker price that you see at your favorite local record store. Now, why most artists are unrecouped, and what unrecouped means is when an artist signs with a record label, all of the monies which are given to them are considered to be advances under the contract, whether they be money that goes into the artist's pocket, which helps them pay their rent, whether it's money which goes toward recording the record, whether it's money which helps them tour support, whether it's money which helps them get their record played on the radio. Any of those monies are considered to be advances against their future royalty earned income. So any money, let's say for example a record company signs an artist, and this is just hypothetical, they record the first record and do both tour promotion and radio promotion, and they're in the red $200,000. In other words, the record company has outlaid $200,000. The reason many artists consider that they don't make any money from a record company or don't receive royalties is because that $200,000 debit or account at the record label needs to be paid off at the artist's royalty rate. So until they fill that hole of $200,000, they're not going to see a royalty check. One way that I think that record companies, however, are unfairly criticized is I think there should be a slightly different way for artists and artist managers now to be looking at the utility and role of an artist agreement, at least further in the career of an artist. And that is, an artist isn't necessarily going to make money directly off of their artist agreement. Indirectly, they can make money off their artist agreement. If your artist is signed to a recording agreement, they should definitely have signed to a publishing agreement. unless they're going to administer their own money. But if your artist needs money, you should be able to get them a publishing deal on favorable terms, which are going to guarantee advances against future income. So that's one way they can earn money. Also, at least in the pop or rock arena, if they're going to be doing any touring, an artist manager should ensure that that artist also has a merchandising agreement to some degree. They should also be able to realize where the core constituency of their fans are, and wherever those fans are, be able to isolate ways to make money in certain live performance markets, doing live performances. A beginning artist isn't going to make money touring around the country. They're probably going to incur debt, but wherever they can make money, they should be able to do so. And a record contract and a record deal, a new record out, is going to open up a lot of different opportunities for an artist, which are not necessarily, in other words, they're going to have a lot of opportunities which aren't directly created by the record deal, but are indirectly created by it. Also publicity. You know, the way I look at it too, for a young artist who signed to a record contract, and let's say it didn't work out, if that artist had, or that band had a core constituent audience of 5,000 people going, which is a great core constituent audience for an unsigned band, they sign to a record company and put out an album that's marketed and sells anywhere between 30 and 70,000 copies. The major record label thinks that that's not enough and they drop them. You just got 30, 40, 50,000 more people who are aware of you. So I think that, you know, once a band, even if they weren't overly successful, leaves a record company, there are a lot of ways to market yourself now online with regard to internet sales. I think that record companies, you should look at an artist agreement as not your ticket to paradise, but as a ticket to furthering your career in a way that you might not have thought of before. And I would say that they're definitely probably going to err as far as the structure of the agreement on the side of the record company, because the record company at the end of the day is the one advancing the money.